change this document to, let's say, HTML basics, and then I save this. So I saved it. Now you could see that the title on the document has changed. So this title part is majorly used for declaration of the document. All right, so that is a short introduction of the whole structure, and then every other thing in the web page will be in the body element. Okay, so basically I want to just have a very quick recap on what I am talking about if you are totally new to the whole system. So in HTML, you have to just know basic things, which is you have to understand what a tag is. You have to understand what an element is. Okay, so and then you have to understand how are these elements grouped. Okay, there's something we call grouping, and so I want to explain what is a tag. So every element that we see has an opening tag and a closing tag. So for instance, if you have your browser, or let's say you have a web document, you are going to see that the web document are structured into text. You could see that there is a header, there is a paragraph, and a lot of things you could see on the web pages. So all the sections that we see on the web page has different headers, has different elements. They has a name for it. Okay, so the first thing we can also look at is the header element. So I need to write. So the header element. So when you go to a, let's say a website, for instance, you will definitely see a very bold header. Okay, you're going to see a bold header. So that header that you see on your web page is called header, and to define that header, you need the header element, right? So, and for that header element, you have to have a closing tag, and then an opening tag, and then a closing tag. So inside the tags is where your content will be. So if I want to define a header, I'm going to define that tag as this. There are different types of header anyway. So you can say h1 header, and then we can say h1 header here. So if you want to define the header element, you need to enclose the header with the tags. So if you see header, if you want to use a header, you need to enclose it with the tags. So there are different types of headers based on their priority. So we have header 1, header 2, header 3, header 4, header 5, header 6. So these headers are based on priority. Of course, you could see the differences in font size, but this does not necessarily mean that you should use it for styling. Okay, so this is for priority. For every web page, there must be the header 1. So when you want to say, okay, in this web page, I need to create a header, so the header 1 will be there. So you can call it, this is header 1, and then there will be a closing tag h1 that closes the header element. And so likewise, we have the paragraph. So if you want to say, I have a text, I need to create a paragraph, can you guess? So the element is called the paragraph, like this. You have the p tag. It's going to also have a closing tag, and then whatever I want to put is going to be here. So if you want to create a paragraph of any text, you can start with the p tag and say this is the paragraph. Okay, and then there will be a closing tag p for that paragraph. Okay, all right, my canvas is gone somewhere else. Okay, so I believe you get the idea. So let's go back to VS Code once again. All right, so based on that, if you want to create a header in the body here, you're going to say, of course, since we are on VS Code, there's a lot of shortcuts. So if you just type H1 and tab, it brings the header element, and then there is a space for you to put your content. So I can say that this is the header. This is the header, right? And then in the header section, you could see, if you check, you could see that my live server automatically updated the web page. Okay, so now this is the header, and then if we need a paragraph, we can say P tab, and then it brings the paragraph element with the tags. And so if you want some random text, you can just say lorem and tab. So this gives you some garbage text. It's not Latin, it just gives some garbage text. So this text now is in paragraph. Okay, so these are two elements I will look at now: the header element, the paragraph element with their various tags. Now I'm going to give us a more complex structure where I'm going to explain what is happening. Okay, all right, so there are different things I'm going to be looking at in this course, in this live session. So we're going to be looking at grouping, the navigations, the header, and then forms, of course. There are also tables. We're going to look at how to create tables, how to create lists. And so we are going to start with the home page. Okay, I'm going to start with the home page. So here's a code that's already been written. This code was generated with GPT. Okay, so it saves me more time than to start typing live now. So if you need the code, you can also write in the comment and then I can send it to you. All right. So based on what we explained earlier, we are going higher a little bit. So I want to restart the live server. Now I restarted the live server and I have this on the left hand side, the output from my code. So don't worry about the styling yet. Don't worry about all this. Okay, the styling is just to make it more colorful, add some colors to the text. So don't worry about this. We are going to look at CSS later on in this course, but not today. So, but I just want us to know more about HTML. So about the header that I was explaining earlier. However, there are accessibility, new accessibility forms of defining tags. So inside, for instance, we have the header. We have a new tag called the header. So you could see this header. Inside this header, this is going to be the part of the web page that is a header. So this is basically important for accessibility. So it's not everybody that uses a website that can see properly. So people who are disabled, who need voice recognition to go through the page, you need to have this in mind when building your website, that this is important. So this states that this first space is the header of this web page, and inside the header I have the welcome to the HTML tutorial for beginners. And so this tutorial, you see that I put a bunch of text here. So if you want to replicate this, just say header 1, and then we put header 1, and then we put our elements, our text I want inside header 1, and then the paragraph, we then put the text that we want inside the paragraph. So you can replicate this anytime. And so there is another grouping that we are going to talk about, and it is a navigation. So this nav means that this is a navigation. Okay, so navigation means that when you click on the element, it takes you to another web page. So, but since we have not created a web page for all this, the navigation is not going to work at the moment, right? So inside our navigation, we are saying this UL means unordered list. Create an create an unordered list for the following. So we create a list item, this li, a list item. Then the list item has a reference, and then you give a title. So you could see that the document structure, which is on the left hand side, is this, and because of the hyperref, which is the hyperlink, because we gave it a link, that is why you can see that when I click it, it should take me to another page. And so likewise, we do the same thing for text elements, grouping content, links, and navigation. So the purpose of this actually is that, let me show my face once again so you can see me. So the purpose of this actually is that it gives you everything you need to know about HTML, which is the document structure, the text elements, the grouping content, links and navigation, images, lists, tables, forms, and every other thing. So you could keep this somewhere else and say, oh, when I want to make a list, how do I make it? So you can also refer to this video as reference. You can also refer to this video as a learning procedure for you. All right, let's get back to VS Code. So you see, these are all the structure, the content I'm going to be looking at. So this page now is my index.html. So it is the first page that you are going to see when you enter this web page. And so now let's go and create this page. We need a page called document. We need a page called document structure.html. If you see this, document structure.html. So I'm going to copy this. So when you want to create another new page, what you do, you go over to this point, minimize this. So you go over to this, your file explorer. Okay, so you have to make sure that you are in the HTML basics folder. Click on the drop down and then new file. So new file, I'm going to copy and paste document structure.html. Click on enter, and then it takes me to this structure. Okay, so basically to get the boilerplate is exclamation mark then tab. So it gives you, minimize this part. So it gives you the boilerplate for the HTML structure skeleton for every web page. So when you minimize this, you get that, oh, I need to name the title. So the title here is still document structure. Remove the .html, remove this and space. Okay, so this is the title for the web page. Then wherever you want to put in the body, you can also place those information in the body. So I'm gonna have to give another contents. Okay, so I'll have to explain the code I'm gonna paste in here now. So this is the body. So in the body, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna have the header section. So in this header section, I'm gonna call the header. I need to refresh. Okay, so since we are not here yet, all right, you cannot see it yet because this is the index.html page. This is the index.html page on the left hand side, and so we need to click on document structure to be able to get to the document structure page. And so let me go to the live server and then click on document structure. So it takes us to the document structure page, because on the right hand side you could see that we already created the page for the document structure. And yeah, so in the document structure, this is the header part. So the header part is explained that this part is my header section, so the header of the web page. So inside the header part, you have the document structure, and use H1 to define the first header, because this is based on structure. Okay, so you cannot just go and put H2 here and then H1 here. It doesn't work that way. You cannot put H2 here then H1 here. Oh no, you have to define the first top in a structured way. Okay, so then followed by the paragraph text. And how do we get this paragraph text? We get it by using the p tag. So the paragraph text has open and close tags, and then you put your text inside. So if you want to design something, just use another text to design this part. And then we have a link to take us to, okay, this takes us to the same document because we are in document structure page. So if you click on this, it still doesn't go anywhere, so it takes, you are still here. But if you click on back to home, how do we go back to home? Back to home means that we go back to the index.html file. So the index.html file is the back to home. So if you click back to home, it takes you to index.html file. So this is one of the very cool thing to do about accessibility. Let me show my face again. Okay, you see what I did here? Index.html, I not say click here. Okay, I not say click here. I say back to home. So what this means is that because of web accessibility, you have to be conscious of how you name your links or your navigations. Okay, so you don't just say click here or press here. No, you have to be explicit. So you see that I said back to home because I want the link to take us back to the home page, right? Okay, so let's go back to Visual Studio Code. All right, now you could also see that text elements.html. So this page has not been created. We are going to create that page so that when we create this page and you click on this link, it should take you to the text element page. So by now, if you have not learned how to create a page, pause the video and then repeat how to create a page. Very important. All right, so if you want to create a page, go to the folder again, click on the drop down, then new file. Okay, which part do you want me to zoom? I got a message in the chat. Okay. Do you mean the code or a live server? Okay, I'll be right back. Let me fix something about the zooming. Okay, just a second. Okay guys, welcome back. Okay, welcome back, and I believe that the Zoom should be working properly now. Okay, yeah, so the Zoom should be working properly. This is VS Code, and I guess this should be perfect. Okay, so so we're talking about this page, and so we've created. Thank you for your comment, Doom. Yeah, I hope the Zoom is better for you to see your mobile now. Okay, so we've created the document structure page, and so we need to create a page for the text elements. And so I can copy this. All right, so still the same procedure. I'm going to still repeat the same thing. So open your folder and then you click on the new file. So you name the file. I'm going to paste the name that I already got from here, documentelements.html. I click on enter, and so we are here. And the shortcut for creating the page is exclamation mark, then you hit on tab. So the first thing you need to change in your page is the title. The title is what appears at the top bar. You can call it text bar. So here I'm going to call it text element, remove the .html and then remove the hyphen. So this is the text element that we created, and then you could just put some text in the body of the text element. Okay, so the body, we're going to put some things like the header, a paragraph, and the list. Okay, so I'm going to copy some code here now, and now it happens. So I could actually show you how to create this from beginning, but I believe you should be able to know how to copy and paste. If you don't know how to copy and paste, this is how to do it. Then if we want to create the header part, you could say that this is the header and then tab. Hi, full stack dev, welcome. So header, tab, and so in this header section, you can then create the first header in the header part. So you are saying that my header part has the header called, let's gonna use h1. Remember we said that there are 6 headers. So if we say h1 and then you click on tab, it brings the full tags, both the opening and closing tag for you. All you need to do is just write in the space where you need to provide the text, right? So the header that I want to call this, since we're in the text element page, we can call it text element, right? So we'll call it text element. Hope the video is down very clear for you guys to see. Text element. And so if I'm going to show you on the live server, let's see how it looks like on the live. So that we can see and I can explain. So if you have any question, you can just ask. Okay, so now we have this, and so in the header part, you could see this is the header part. So in the header part, we have the first element, which is the h1, the first header, and then in the header part also we have the paragraph text. So paragraph, you create an opening tag, which is the p, and then the closing tag for the p, for the paragraph tag. So in this paragraph tag, in the header section, we have some navigation also. So navigation means that when you click on this element, it should take you back to a particular page. So that's the navigation. So we enclose the hyperref link with the nav element. All right, so if we go to So everything about HTML is how to structure. You create the structure for every page. Of course, now that there are frameworks help you to create dynamic pages, so you don't need to create multiple pages for all pages. But however, if you understand the basics, which is why we discuss this, if you understand the basics, then you could easily work with the dynamic web page creations. Okay, so that is the basics so far. Is just create pages again and again, and then use your various tags. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so one thing I did not mention is the UL. UL means if you want to create a list. So let's go to Canvas. Okay, Canvas, where are you? Alright, my canvas is disappeared. I wanted to explain more on the concept of lists, creating lists, ordered lists, and unordered lists. Okay, so UL means that you want to create an unordered list. An unordered list means that there is no numbering. So let me show the Visual Studio, the live server. Code, we basically need to change the UL. We just need to change the UL to OL. OL means I need to present this as ordered list. So when you click on this U, hope you can see OL. So VS Code. Okay, when I open the browser, thank you very much, Rahul. I need to fix that. Fireborn Legend, yeah, this is for absolute beginners. Of course, you said everyone now teaches something new, yeah. But for instance, now there's a new stuff that came out, which is the fast HTML. Let me show my face. Yeah, the fast HTML, which is Python based, very fast. You could use it to create app. I could actually give you a tutorial on that, but I felt like if you have not the basics of this, you are gonna get lost. So that's why this video is important. Okay, so let me fix the video with the browser stuff. Thank you for joining anyway, Fireborn Legend and Rahul Mishra. Thank you for that. So let's fix this. Okay, so I believe that the voice is now working with the live server browser, right? Thank you very much, Rahul. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Fireborn, for your comment. And yeah, basically, this is just it. This is just what you need to know. So with this idea now, if you are using frameworks like React, like Angular, okay, Next.js, a lot of frameworks are coming. So if you don't even understand the simple basics, how can you navigate these frameworks? And of course, frameworks will be coming out every now and then. So until you understand the fundamentals, you will not be able to make significant progress. Okay, so now I'm going to create the next page, which is called the grouping content. So let's go to so the topic for Legend just asked a question. The topic is we are looking at the fundamentals of HTML. the basics. So this will make you to master HTML for web development, and also you will not get lost when you need to use the latest frameworks that are out there. Okay, so I'm going to have to create a page now for grouping content. And so let's see. So we go to VS Code. And when we go to VS Code, we create a new page. And then VS Code, here we are. So basically, it's the same thing, repetition. So programming repetition, and then you become a master. So you go to new file. You could also use some shortcut for this. You go to new file. I want to create a page called grouping content.html. And so I copied this from here, and then I say new page, I paste it here. Yeah, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl Z. God bless the person that did that. So grouping content. And so when we create this, so the basic structure, how to get the basic structure for every page is exclamation mark, and then it brings the whole structure for you. But I already have a code for the grouping content.html. And so when I paste it here, I have everything that I need. And so basically go through the whole page so that I can have understanding of it. Of course, with GBT, you could easily create these things. With ChatGPT, you could create these things. So I'm not trying to show that I'm a Superman, that I want to create everything from my head. Yeah, but the most important thing is that you should okay, all right. Legend, how to open live page by VS Code. You're unable to open it. Yeah, I have a video on it. If you check my playlist. So getting started with Visual Studio Code editor here, I made a video on how to use live server. However, there are other methods you can use to open your file, okay, without using live server. So if I can't explain everything now how to make live server because it's going to take time. You just need to install the extension, live server extension. You just need to install the live server extension. And if you are, for this tutorial, for you to follow along, you could also just right click on your file. If you create a file called index.html, you could right click on it and say open with Chrome or open with Firefox. So if you do that, it will automatically open the file you are creating on your web browser. And then, but then if you make some correction on your code, then you need to go to the browser and refresh so that you can see it being refreshed. But VS Code, if you use a live server, yeah, that's just basically what I said, Raul. So okay, so let's continue. I'm just giving you alternative. Just right click on the folder itself or the file, index.html file on your folder, and then said open with your browser, and then you get the web page. All right, so thank you for your question, Legend. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we created this grouping elements. Like I was saying, we just created the headers, the nav, and then the links. Okay, so it's the same thing. And so if you go to the grouping content.html, you're gonna see the stuff. Live server, where are you? I already made one website on environment. Live server. Okay, so we created the page called grouping content, right? So this is what we created, the grouping content. So if we go to the home page, previous text elements, previous documents, back to home page, see that the home page, we have created document structure page, text element page, grouping content, right? So if you click on document structure, it takes you to the document structure page. Go back to home page again. If you click on text element, it takes you to the text element page. Then go back again. Oh my god, I was also show live server. Okay, so if you go to elements, previous, yeah, back to home page. So if you are in the home page, we have already created these 3 pages, which is the document structure, the text element, the grouping elements, right? So if we click on this document structure, it takes us to document structure. Back to home page again. If you click on text element, it takes you to the text element page. And then you can go back again, or you can go next. So if you click on next, it takes you to the grouping contents page. So we need to create a page for links and navigation. So why I'm doing this is that by the way I'm explaining this now, you'll be able to know that, oh, when you go to the home page, back to home page. So anytime you want to make something, oh, I need to make text element, just come to this place and then get the code for it. I need to see how I can group elements. So if you want to group element, how do I make this happen? So you can just come here and check it out. And then if you want to look at how to make navigation, go to home. Okay, I need to make navigation. How do I make links and navigation in HTML? So you could then just come here and check out the code, and then images, lists, tables, forms. Of course, forms is very interesting because up to tomorrow we'll be making forms even in even with frameworks, right? So you need to understand the forms. I hope we still have time to do all that before we still have time to do that today, right? Okay, so let's quickly create the page for the links and navigation, and then Legend, I will address your question later on so that other people can follow along. So let's open our Visual Studio Code, and then we need to create a page for the links and navigation. Okay, I just copy the name because I'm copying the name because in programming, it's very case sensitive. Capital letter L is not the same thing as small letter L. So you need to, most of the time, try to copy the names of files, the variables you use. Okay, so you need to copy this most of the time. So I create a new file, and then I copy and paste here. I click on enter. So I have a new page for the links and navigation. So I'm going to just post some content here for the links and navigation so that we can be able to see what is in the links and navigation. So we have this code here. This is the head part. The head part is what will contain your title for the page. Links and navigation is what we called it, right? And then the header section contains the header 1 and the paragraph, right? Then you have the lists, which we already explained. So this is an unordered list. Unordered list. So I'm going to save this, and then we see what we have in the links and navigation. Okay, so let's go to live server. This is our home page. When we click on links and navigation, it takes us to links and navigation page. So for us to see the links, okay, so this also takes us to the next pages. So we need to create the page for next. And so let's go back to VS Code again, and then VS Code, VS Code, VS Code. So everything is more of repetition. And then we create the page for images. Okay, so we create a page for image. Let's copy this. Ctrl C, and then new file, Ctrl V, enter. You have a page for the images. So most of the time where you have to create images, you need to create a folder so that you can keep all the images inside. You need to create a folder called, let's say, so how do I create a folder? You see, the first part here is new file, and then the second part here is new folder. So, but make sure that you are inside the HTML basics folder. So if you click on the toggle button, you are inside. So folder, and then I can say img or images. So images, which means I have to move this images.html to images. Okay, so when you move this, it's going to have to actually affect your part. okay, because if you go to index.html, you say we created a part called images.html. If you can see, let's see if I can zoom this a little bit. Let's see, can I zoom you? Okay, so VS Code, let's see. Okay, so now you see that these images, when we created the link, the hyperref link, which is we have absolute part. So this is not the absolute part, but we created this called images.html. And because we now created a folder called images, we need to change the address of this link. Okay, so I need to close this way, and then Visual Studio Code gives you IntelliSense. So immediately I type of images, it brings the folder for me to say images folder, then /, which means I'm going inside the images folder, and then go to images.html. I hope you see what I did there. So you have to be careful when you change the names of your files, and you have to also change the path. Okay, so let's go to live server and see if that works. Yeah, live server, and then refresh this. So if you click on next images, okay, so there is an error, which means we did something wrong with the path, with naming the path. So let's go to VS Code again. So this is it. So many people think, oh, this is easy, and this is easy, but you have to be careful with the mistakes that you make. Okay, so where is the mistake that we made? Images.html. So which page is this? This is the home page. And so when we are in the home page, you could, let's see. All right, let's create this file again. Under this, we create this file, we create this images.html, and then we get the context for the images.html page, which is this, and then we paste this here, we save, and then we go to the live server and see what happens there. Okay, refresh, and then next images. So what happened there was some other part that I need to correct. So I need to also change the links for the images folder, and that is how we got the error. So I simply did not create the folder again, so I don't need to spend the whole evening trying to change the place for all the links. So now you see the idea of what we did so far. So after this class, if you like, you can even stop the video now and try to create the rest of the pages yourself. Previous. Okay, so go back to home. So you can go ahead to create the rest of the pages yourself. But however, we can look at tables. List, I already explained it several times. So let's create the pages for table, and let's see what we have. Okay, so, or we can just create lists very quickly. Let's just create lists. It doesn't take much time. New file. The list.html is created. And then, okay, I need to show you VS Code. So I created this just now, list.html file. And then we have to go to the code. Okay, list.html. So list, just remember ordered list and unordered list. Very easy. And if you have this in your bag, you are good to go. So we save this. So this is what we have from the list. Okay, so this is just the header. This is just the header that says this page is for the list. And if you are creating lists, you use li, or let me just show you another one here, which is the OL, which I've been talking about. Maybe it will help. So this is UL, right? So this is UL. So if I want to create ordered list, I can just say OL, create on tab. It gives me this. I click on enter. So then you use the list item to list what will be inside. So list item, I can say fruits. So for me to create fruits, let me first of all create a header. I've used H1 already at the top, so I can say H2 here, right? So H2 here, I can say lists of fruits, right? So under list of fruit, I want to create ordered lists, okay, which will be numbered. So let's say list 1, let's say mangoes. I call it mangoes, and then let's say something else. Is tomato a fruit? No. So let's say apples. Okay, so when we save this, let's see what we get on the live server. So live server, let's go to lists, click on list. Okay, so you could see, let me see if I can zoom. So you could see this. So you see here now that we have mangoes. This is ordered list. OL is when you want to give it a number. Okay, ordered list. You can also change it to, if you want to make it A, B, C, D or something like this. So you'll get the idea. So what you see at the top here, this page covers how to create ordered list, and then this comma and tags is just some random stuff we did there. If you want to explain, you can just say it again. Okay, so ordered lists, and then the list item tags. This is what happened there. All right, I hope you have been able to grasp. If you do not get anything so far, I'm very certain that you should have understood how to create pages, how to work your way through the tags, the elements, the HTML elements. And so let's go and let's create tables. I'm not going to spend too much time with this because this is just a refresher course, and then you need to get a hang of it by practicing by yourself. Okay, so let's go here, tables.html, and so let's create some table. So for table, you have to take into cognizance about the table column, the rows, the columns that we have in there. And yep. Okay, just some second. Where is the VS Code? So let's open the VS Code. VS Code, this is you. So I'm gonna have to minimize this a little bit. Okay, so it's kind of difficult to maintain a proper frame size because some persons are on mobile, I believe. All right, so let's see, this is the code for the table. Let's see what is going to give us at the output, and then we come back to explain everything that we need to know from the table. So if you click on table, we have this, and then this is not what I wanted to do. Okay, so VS Code once more time. So we create a basic structure, exclamation, and then we can call the title that this is a title for the tables, and then tables. Okay, so we need to define the body of the table. Okay, we need to define the body, so let's call this give it a header. Already have, okay, this is, so let's give it h1 because it's the first header, and let's say table example. Okay, table example with some random paragraph p and say this is an example of a table. Okay, now so what we have, and then I think I can just get a snippet of a code. Okay, let's see. So let's see what we have here. Table. Okay, something was missing. Style, table. Okay, this is very important for us to do. All right, let's go to the live server and see what we get in the live server. So if you want to actually navigate, you can see this. Let's go to index.html and see what happens there. Okay, back to home. All right, so nope. Okay, let's see this. Okay, so let's go to VS Code. Okay, this is some tables that was created. All right. So let's see full screen. Okay, this is not very clear for mobile users. All right, so if you see a table, first thing you need to take into cognizance how many columns do we have. So this is column 1, 2, 3. We have 3 columns, and then how many rows do you want to have? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are 5 rows, right? And then you have to also know, okay, for the first row and the first column, you're going to have a header that will explain what is in the first column. And then you're going to have another header or a title that will explain what's in the second column. We're going to have another header that will explain what's in the third column, right? So this is how you need to think about when you want to make a table. But in many times back, they usually use tables to structure the web page. But now you don't need to do this. You need to just use Flex or Grid, which is something we can look at subsequently, right? And for the new guys, if you have not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe. And I hope if you just learned one or two things about this is the first live stream, so it's going to get better. And if you like something so far about this, please hit the like button and also subscribe. And as we progress, we will just keep getting better and better. Okay, so let's go to the VS Code to see what happened there. And so, yeah, this is what we have in the VS Code. Now this is the CSS part. Don't bother too much about this. We'll look at that in later course. So the title of the whole page page is HTML table. Okay, and then to define the rows, remember that the first row that we have contains the headers. So let me show you. So the first row that we have, this is the first row. It contains the title for the columns. So this is what we defined in VS Code. So in VS Code, we define the row. If you want to define a row section, you call it TR. So when you define this TR, let me see if I can zoom this a bit. Okay. So when you define this row tr, the elements of that role, you now define it as th. You could say table head. Okay, th. So we mean in the first role we are going to have 3 titles or 3 headers. So the first role have the first column to be first name, has the second column to be last name, and has the third column to be age. So this is what you define as T role. And then this is the table head. You have TH. So this is just for accessibility. Without this TH, it will still work. So this TH, this T head rather, it will still work. It's just for accessibility. Okay, so now after defining the headers, you now have to define the body. So now if you go back to live server again, you could see that the body for the first column, you have John, Jane, and Emily. Of course, there's another one here, end of table, but this you have to use CSS or styling to do this. So you have John, Jane, and family. So we need to put John, Jane, family in the first name column. So if you go to VS Code, you see this. So to create that, you use table row. You say table row. Now inside the table row, you now say table data, which is TD. So you are saying John, Doe, and 25. So what this means is that I'm creating rows, 3 rows. Okay, I'm creating row John, row Doe, and 25 in the first column. Then in the second column, I'm creating Jane, Smith, and 30. Then in the third column, you are creating Emily, Johnson, and then the age 25. So what happened at that last one is column span. So column span means that expand the table. So if we go to live server again, you see that there is no data here. So column span means that at the end of the table, you expand it by 3. So there was just nothing. So it just give you a complete row. So this the basics for table. And if there are more questions, and of course we can look more into that in the future. And because of time, we've spent quite a lot of time already. So I'm going to go to, let's see, VS Code. So let's see. So if you want to also navigate, you can use the IP address index.html. I want to go to index.html. All right. Oh, we're almost done. So let's look at forms. So we go to VS Code. So let's bring this back to fit to screen. Right. Okay, so we're going to create a new file. And then we can call it forms. So I need to get the correct. Let's get it forms.html. Okay, forms.html. So if I show you live server now, something about creating a file before you click on it. So this happened because we have not yet created the form file. So we have it here already. We have the link created here. So if I click on forms, you see, you say cannot get forms.html because it is not yet created. So we have to create it in VS Code. So when we go to VS Code and then we create new file, Let me start to zoom this a bit one more time so that Raul can see. Okay. All right, so let's create new file and then I call it forms.html, right? So basically we need to just create some forms, how to create forms, and in form, what does it entail, what does it contain, And like I said, with GBT, you could always get a code, but you need to understand what the code is doing. If not, most of your time you'll be debugging as a web developer, so you need to know what you are doing. So you need to know how the code works. You need to know every line of the code. Okay? All right. So I'll be right back, and let me have some water break. Okay, so once again, welcome back, and let's fill in this form part with some code. Okay, so there's a lot of things here, but never to worry. It's just the same boilerplate and then some CSS, which we could do later on in this course. And then, so in the body part, we define the header part and say this is a form called the information form. And for more visuality, let's see if we can see what is happening on the web server. Then you could see how those things came to be. Forms.html. So this is the form that the code brought. The code was actually from GPT. So let's explain what happens and how we got to what. So majorly the beauty of the form comes from your CSS. So if you know how to style, then your forms comes quite okay. However, you need to know the structure of your form in HTML. So the HTML gives you the structure. So these are constant things that you need to know, right? So let's go to VS Code again. So you see now that this is the user information form, right? This is a user information form. And so in the user information form, you can see obviously that this is header 1. And there is another thing you could also learn. You could learn how to inspect a page. So you could see the HTML and CSS and the code that was used to make this page. This way you could easily also replicate code from other websites, right? So if you go to inspect page, oh, unfortunately my screen is not showing that. If you right click on the empty space and then you scroll down, you're going to see inspect. So when you click on inspect, so you're going to see on the left hand side, let's minimize this. Okay, so on the left hand side, you're going to see elements, console, recorder, sources, and every other thing. So let's look at the element. So in the element, when you expand the body, you're going to see the code, the HTML code and the CSS code. So you can see that this user information form is the header 1, right? And then the form action to submit. So if you click on to expand it, you're going to see every element in the table. So if you want to see how the name was structured, you could expand this and see that it's a label for the name. You could expand this also to see for email, right? You could also expand this to see for gender. So basically, you could actually copy the HTML page from any website, or you could see how it is made anyway. Not to copy, but you need to see how it's made, and it also helps with debugging. Okay, so back to our talk. So this is header 1, and then the header 1 has a name. The name has this field for you to type in the name. Okay, and then you have an email that has a field for you to type in the email, and then gender for you to select if you're a male or female. You see that when you're a male, you cannot be female. So this is radio button. Okay, so you need to select and then some countries for you to choose. Quite interesting, right? And then a submit button. So there should also be a reset button somewhere in this code, but you could figure that out when you try to replicate this. All right, so now let's go to VS Code and see how the code works. Okay, so let me minimize this and see. So the header 1, how to get to the 1, we use h1 tag to define the header 1, which we call the user information form. And then for every form there is an action. So because when you have a form, you need to either submit the form or you need to submit the form, right, to a database. So this is what the action comes into play. But for this, we don't need the action part because we are not submitting it anywhere. We don't have a database to submit to. And then for the labels, so the trick is every label or every input type has a label. So if you want to get input for name, for instance, you're going to have to define label and input. So this div tag is to make sure that you can structure the name label independently. Okay, so and then this also explains for the email. And then you have a placeholder. Placeholder means that this is a text you see. It is not it's not a concrete text, it's just a placeholder, so that when you type in the original text, the placeholder disappears. And then this required means that you must fill in your name before you submit. So if you have not filled in your name, it's not going to submit. Likewise, you have for email, and then the placeholder for your email is also required. And then lastly, the gender, which we saw that was a radio button, right? So the input type is called radio. Radio means that you can only select one out of these options. So you cannot select two. So if you want to use the radio option, this is the code for it, and it's quite explanatory. So the input type is radio, and then the ID, this ID is used for styling. So if you want to style the female input, okay, that's the label for female, then this is the ID you use. However, we are not going too much into that. So the major takeaway is actually for the input type and how you can also know which type of input to use. So for text, you could use for text such as name, you use the input type as text. For email, use the input type as email. So this will help you so that when someone types in an email, he has to use an @ button, okay, like Gmail @gmail.com. So if that thing is not there, then the email is not correct, right? So this is also very important to specify the type. And then the gender, for gender, use a type radio. Radio means that you can only select one and not two. You can't be male and female, okay? Then for the country, you use the value. You gave it a value by which people can select from that value. And then lastly, you use the button submit and the submit button. And so if you do this, you are going to have this form. Of course, there's a CSS style that was used to style this, which, let's go to live server. There's CSS style which was used to style this, but we did not look at it. And so this is actually the introduction of your HTML. And I believe this is quite informative and helpful to anyone who wants to learn HTML. So have a look at this thing, practice with it, and thank you guys for joining. And let me show my face. Yeah, so have a look at what we did so far, and I thank you guys for joining. It was quite interactive for those guys that joined. And also, please, if you're a lady, always also try to join and become a web developer. Or this course also will give you a feel of what it is to be in IT. It might not be necessary that, oh, okay, this is going to make you the next web developer ever in this life, but this will give you a feel of how the web works, of how the page structure works. And so when you're going to learn things about frameworks, you will be well prepared, and some things are not just new to you. So thank you guys once again for stopping by, and then see you in my next video. Have a nice evening or morning wherever you are.